Welcome, everybody. Today, I am so glad to have with me Lisa Wozniak. And Lisa is a marketing consultant and the owner of the Woz Marketing, a marketing company dedicated to helping private practice owners like yourself enroll more clients through online marketing strategies. Lisa is driven by her passion to help practitioners overcome varying marketing challenges that private practice owners often face. Lisa has been in the marketing arena for over 25 years, having worked for several big business clients in a corporate setting. She has realigned her niche to focus on private practice owners by helping them develop and implement creative marketing strategies designed to grow their client base. So she is here to help you, give you some great pointers, and also to give you some resources for, say, some more advanced help. And I can share with you Lisa's website, where she has some tools available and resources that you might find very helpful. So her website is wozmarketing.com. And I love her homepage, by the way. Great job. Talk about marketing. Marketing expert ought to demonstrate great marketing themselves, right? So on her tools page, she has an ebook that you can download. Another thing that I really like on her website is the case studies. Like, how does this actually work for private practice owners, especially mental health providers? So you can see here's a case study by Andrew Joy. He's a licensed counselor. Talks about how things work for him. There's others such as Deb Laggy, and you could read the case study about her practice as a mental health provider. So I am so glad to have you with us, Lisa. And yeah, to get started, I guess one thing that'd be helpful, I find always helpful whenever I do these interviews, is to hear what it is that got you started. Like, why did you decide, you know what, I'm going to help private practitioners, especially behavioral health professionals, increase their client base?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thanks so much for having me, and hello, everyone. I actually have been in marketing all of my adult professional life. And then in 2014, when I made the decision to leave corporate America, as a marketing person, I knew that I needed to develop my own niche. I needed to figure out what sector of the market I was going to focus my attention on. And sadly, we had a family member come down with just a really debilitating case of clinical depression at the time. And that was my first exposure to the mental health industry. And we were so grateful for these folks in finding not only how to deal with this family member, because, we didn't know. We couldn't understand why they couldn't just cheer up, right? Mm-hmm. And not only how to deal with the family member, but how to ensure that they were getting the care that they needed. So just fell in love with that industry. And in digging a little bit further, one of the things that I found out, unfortunately, is as much education as a mental health professional has to go to just to be able to serve those in need, they really aren't given a whole lot in their education in the way of marketing and business development, that kind of thing. They're sort of turned out after graduation with a little note saying, hey, good luck. Mm-hmm. So, that's kind of been my aha moment, where I just sort of felt like divine intervention took over, and I knew that this is where I needed to be.
Yeah. Yeah, we certainly do not get that education, and it's a specialty in of itself. And it could be such a burden for a lot of people that want to be private practice practitioners that they just say, it's not worth it. It's too difficult. Some people are very successful and others just struggle with it constantly. Sure. So one thing I'm interested in is, what are some common mistakes that people in private practice make when they are trying to build a private practice? Because they're kind of just banging their head against a wall, not being successful. So there must be some mistakes that they're making where they're wasting a lot of time, and maybe even burning bridges or creating a bad marketing kind of reputation. I'm not sure.
Well, there's a few things that I noticed along the way that tend to take place. One is not taking any action at all. Sadly, some folks think that just hanging up the open for business sign is enough, and that's all it's going to take.
Uh-huh.
Because there's this conception that medical professionals just open up their practice and they have more business than they know what to do with. So why doesn't that work for me?
Yeah.
And it simply does not. So that I tend to find happens, unfortunately. The other thing that I find is, particularly with mental health professionals, they don't tend to like to talk about themselves too much. They're so focused on helping others who need them that they don't want to toot their own horn.
Mhm.
So when they do muster up the gumption to go ahead and talk about themselves online, they tend to go overboard a little bit and they tend to sell too much. And when you do that, that tends to turn people off and you kind of get the wall up and people just don't pay attention to you anymore.
Uh-huh.
And one of the other things that I think is probably the biggest mistake that I see practitioners make is the lack of consistency. You have to remember that marketing is a long game. It's not something that happens overnight. It needs to be done with a level of consistency so that people get used to seeing your name out there. When
Uh-huh.
you watch a commercial on TV, think about how many times you see a commercial before you even pay attention to the name of the company or what it is that they're trying to sell. That's consistency in action.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay. So not doing anything. And when they do, not tooting their own horn, or if they do, too much. And then consistency. Okay. Yeah. I know with, a lot of clinicians will be on provider directories. Like on my website, we provide a free provider directory to clinicians for telemental health specifically. And I know that, writing that description of yourself on those provider directories is very important. And it's hard to figure out, like, do you try to talk to the struggles of the person that's possibly looking at your profile? Do you talk to your professional skills? Do you talk to something personal about yourself that people can relate to and connect to? And then, you only have so much text available, and then you don't want it to be too long. So those things are very, very difficult, but that's kind of what people are looking at, is the description and the picture of the person. So is that something that you assist providers with?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's really a matter of telling the story of the person who's searching for you in, like you said, in a short space. So the
Mhm.
choice of words is very important, and utilizing keywords is very important. So it's a matter of telling their story. If you use a lot of text speak in those descriptions, again, you get that wall up and people don't pay attention because that doesn't resonate with them. If you
Uh-huh.
stop and think about it from the perspective of the person who is reading that, they just need to know that you can help them. And
Right.
a lot of text speak doesn't really mean anything to them. They don't know
What
how
is
that
meant
can
by
help.
what is meant by that term text speak?
Well, if you're utilizing words like brain spotting and EDMR and
Oh, that, yeah,
behavioral
yeah,
therapy, that to
yeah.
them, that's text speak. They don't know what that means and they don't know how that's going to help them. They just need to know that you're the right person who's going to make their pain go away.
Right, yeah. Now, I know a lot of providers, in the beginning, they have a limited budget. And so they'll try to do these things on their own and waste a lot of time, which is money and energy and so forth, and almost burn themselves out before they'll decide to hire someone like you. Now, some people are business smart and they know that, hey, if I'm going to be successful in business, I'm just going to hire the experts to do the things that they know how to do, and I'll do what I know how to do, right? So some people just do that from the beginning, but most people probably don't. So what is it that what is it that happens that gets someone to the point, do you think, to reach out to you? What's that tipping point?
I think, Ray, you just you painted the picture perfectly. When they get to the point that they have exhausted a lot of time, energy, and money, spinning their wheels and really not getting anywhere, is the point at which they realize, you know what, I think I need some help with this. It's either that, or they have done some things really well and they're starting to see the results of their efforts pick up, and they have more clients coming into their practice, but they are acutely aware of the fact that if they stop their marketing, then that well of clients is going to dry up. So they want to keep that momentum going. It's one of the two.
Okay. Yeah. And yeah, if you're getting good business, but now you're busy seeing the clients, right? So you don't have the time
Exactly.
to market.
Yep.
You want to keep the ball rolling, right? And just improve it, get the brand more and more established. Yeah. So what's the kind of time frame for someone to start to see the clients booking sessions from launching, say, marketing campaigns, starting off? So say a new clinician starts off with services from you, and they're going to be making an investment, following your lead. What's the time period that people usually see before they start seeing clients knocking on their door and signing up?
You know, it's a little bit challenging of a question to answer. So pardon me while I sound a little bit vague here,
Sure.
but it really does depend on how aggressive they're going to be with their marketing
Mm-hmm.
and what kind of things they already have in place.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, do they have a website in place? Do they have social media in place? Have they been doing some of those things all along? And then how aggressive are they going to be with that? Are they going to utilize Google AdWord campaigns? You going to utilize social media ad campaigns?
Mm-hmm.
So it really depends on how aggressive they want to be and what kind of things they already have in place. Now, with that said, as I mentioned earlier, you have to remember, and this is the biggest piece of advice I want your followers to take away from this. You have to remember that marketing is a long game. Okay, so if you go into it saying, you know, by the end of next week, I'm going to have more business than I know what to do with, then you're spinning your wheels, you're wasting your money, and I would run in the other direction from any marketer who tells you that that's going to happen, because it simply is not true.
Mm-hmm.
It's a long game. So I generally tell people, depending on how aggressive you want to be with your marketing and the amount of the budget you want to put in it, you're really looking at anywhere from 3 to 6 months before you start to see that take place. There
Mm-hmm.
are certain factors that will go into that, like what part of the country you live in, how saturated the market is where you live, if you've defined a specialty, and how saturated that specialty is in your current market. I mean, there's all those things that go into it, but as a generalized rule, you're looking at anywhere from 3 to 6 months,
Sure.
depending on how aggressive you want to be with it.
Yeah. And have you worked with clients who they just have a phone number? They don't have a website and they don't want to use a website, but they want to market their services.
You know, I have worked with folks that operate under those standards, and it is possible, but it takes longer. When you think about the fact that we live in a highly competitive digital world,
Mm-hmm.
that's where most of your business is going to live. So if you operate under the philosophy that I'm not going to do anything online, you can be successful, but you're going to want to double that time frame. So then you're really looking at anywhere from 6 to 12 months.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And if they're going to have a website, they have to have a really good, solid landing page. Like, where are people going to be directed to, which is usually your website, and then they're going to call you, right? That's usually how it goes. And
Absolutely.
so that
Spoken
landing,
like a true marketer, Ray.
yeah, yeah. Kind of unfortunately, I had to spend years doing marketing. Uh, Not as a marketing professional, certainly. But yeah, so the landing page has to be really good, because that's where you're bringing them, right? So they have to get a handle on that. But then, like you mentioned, the Google ads, Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, and the Google business page and so forth. So wondering, have you seen, where have you seen the most success for behavioral health professionals in private practice? Some of these can be very expensive, some more expensive than others, some more powerful than others. That's why they're more expensive. Like Google Ads is typically the more expensive but more powerful because you're getting people who are specifically looking for what it is that you're offering. And there's definitely a learning curve to using that. So it's more what, in terms of ranking those and how well they work and how someone would choose which ones to use, or if you have some advice on that.
Again, Ray, I have to tell you, it really depends on the factors that we talked about before. What part of the country that you live in and how saturated that market is. I've seen some folks absolutely crush it with Google AdWords, and some who really struggle to be seen. So I think that it doesn't matter as much with the medium that you use as much as it matters the content that you're putting out there and the keywords that you're choosing. That's one of the mistakes that I find people make when they're utilizing Google keywords is they're choosing words that are way too competitive to rank for.
Right. Yeah, certainly. So the Google Ads, is that something that your business, like you do yourself, or do you have someone specifically who specializes in that, handle the Google Ads?
Yeah, we work with folks who specialize in Google Ads. That's where their expertise lies. I can show practitioners how to search for the right words so that they're competitive. And how to utilize those in their website and their social media, those kind of things. But we work with folks whose expertise lies in Google AdWords.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And the Google Business Pages is really neat, especially if you're providing services on site. So I train professionals on providing telemental health, which is providing services virtually, which typically is anywhere in the state where the clinician is licensed. But Google Business Pages is so good for finding local businesses in your area. Have you found that clinicians have been successful or not really? Not very successful with using the Google Business Pages? And any recommendations on that?
There are some folks who do fairly well with that, but again, we gear folks towards more of a presence on social media, and with their websites. People can certainly utilize Google Business and have done very well with that, but it tends not to be as big a draw as a Google AdWords campaign would be, or through some of the directories that you talked about. And then, of course, social media is incredibly powerful.
Yeah, right. In terms of social media, the big ones are LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and so forth. Are there certain ones that you think work better for behavioral health professionals?
Some of them work better than others depending on what your strategy is going to be. So, for example, Facebook is really great for getting clients. LinkedIn is really powerful for getting referrals. And if you have a private pay practice.
Oh, okay. Yeah. For LinkedIn.
Correct.
Because I guess the clientele, or though your clientele would be more likely to be using LinkedIn, is what it must be.
Correct.
Private pay. Yeah. Because I know that's one of the struggles, or one of the questions people have often is, do I get paneled with insurance or do I not? So often getting paneled with insurance means that they're going to be charging less or being reimbursed less. But then they also have the hassle of dealing with the insurance, which people really do not like. Clinicians don't like. So I guess that would probably also depend upon their location. Would you say that to be the case, or any thoughts on that in terms of, can people risk? Is it worth the risk to just do private pay, or should they start with insurance and then maybe stop taking insurance? Any thoughts on that?
Honestly, Ray, no, because I'm a marketer, so that's just not my area of expertise, insurance or not insurance.
Yeah, yeah. I know it could, open up doors with the insurance. So, uh, any tips for clinicians who are starting off marketing? What are some things that they'll definitely need to do, steps that they ought to take in the beginning?
So I think that perhaps the most important first step is to develop your niche market.
Hmm.
So make a decision on what you want to specialize in, who you want to help, and commit to that. Now, I have a couple of thoughts that I want to share regarding that. There's a lot of practitioners, unfortunately, who feel like, let's just utilize depression as an example.
Uh-huh.
If I specialize in depression, then I'm going to close myself off to all of the other things that I'm capable of doing. I won't be able to do ADHD anymore. I won't be able to do marriage counseling anymore. I won't be able to do bipolar or any of those other things if I say that I specialize in depression.
Right.
First of all, that is not true. It just simply is not true. You will always have people who you come across who use the yeah, but approach. Yeah, you do depression, but can you help my child with ADHD? You will always come across those yeah, but types approaches.
Mhm.
Second of all, you have to remember that developing your niche is a marketing tool. Okay, it's a marketing tool so that people can find you.
Uh-huh.
And what ends up happening if you don't develop a niche is that you end up trying to be all things to all people and you end up being nothing to no one,
Mhm.
right? So
Right.
when you think about, I'm Betty Boop. I am a therapist in private practice, and I'm not going to specialize in anything, and I want to grow my practice. When people search for a therapist, often they don't go to Google and they don't type in therapist. What they type in is they type in their symptoms or they type in their diagnosis,
Uh-huh.
or and their city. So they're going to type in, depression in college or depression in Albuquerque, New Mexico, or whatever that looks like for them.
Yeah.
So no one's going to just search therapist because it's too broad of a result and they're never going to be able to find you. It's only when you develop that niche and state who you are
Hmm.
that people are going to be able to find you.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. So they have so establish their niche. What would be some of the other next steps for them?
So next steps is to take that niche and put it in all of your marketing materials. Make sure that it's front and center on your website and
Uh-huh.
make sure that it's in your social media. And if you do blogging, make sure that you're talking about it in your blogs. So that's step number 2. And then finally, step number 3 is make sure that you're marketing your practice consistently. It does not work if you post a couple of times on social media and then turn around and tell your friends, well, social media doesn't work. I didn't get one phone call. You have to do it consistently. You have to be marketing your practice consistently. We talked earlier about how many times you have to see a commercial before you even start thinking about the name of the company or what they're selling. The
Right.
same is going to be true for your practice. So
Yeah.
whether you're adjusting things on your website or pushing your website out to the public for them to view, or whether you're doing things on social media or on directories, you have to be
Yeah.
doing it consistently to get the results that you want to see.
Yeah. Yeah. And in terms of the social media, um, how important it would you say it would be to get other people to market your practice who are already social media stars, where they get a lot of traffic on their social media sites already?
That's always helpful, but that's not something that I would depend on.
Uh-huh.
If you're hanging your hat on that, you're wasting your time.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. So the consistency, I building the brand and yeah, and the keyword, making sure you're using the right keywords. That definitely makes sense. And if they're going to, how would they make a decision on, say, what marketing expert to use? And in regards to that, I know for behavioral health professionals, one concern, at least one thing that ought to be a concern, is to make sure that the marketing expert understands the privacy considerations for behavioral health professionals. You know, it's within our codes of ethics. There's a lot of literature about it. So social media exists for profit, right? Social media exists for data mining, for marketing, right? And the service that social media provides is allowing people to be social, to connect with one another. So social media is not there for healthcare. It's not designed for healthcare. It's not, that's not its purpose for healthcare, right? But people will use social media to market healthcare practices because it's a powerful tool. So sometimes it takes kind of contorting social media for a whole different purpose, which is healthcare, because healthcare, at least in behavioral health especially, keeping not only clients, but prospective clients and past clients' information very, very private and secure. So I was wondering if you had some thoughts on that, and again, how to choose, how to select a marketing expert like yourself to receive services from.
Certainly. If you're looking for a marketing professional to help you with your practice, you're going to want to make sure that they have experience in doing just that, that they know the ramifications for that. And the other thing that you could do is to ask the potential marketing executive what their policy is on HIPAA compliance.
Mm-hmm.
So the answer to that question will let you know whether or not you have the right marketing person in your corner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And on HIPAA compliance, what ought they be looking for from a marketing expert that they're going to be hiring on?
Well, you could certainly ask to see examples of their work,
Mm-hmm.
on what kinds of things they've done before, as well as references. And you could also ask them what kinds of things they share on social media, as well as email marketing or advertising campaigns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That will let you know how HIPAA compliant they are.
Sure. Yeah, because one of the risks is if clients or even prospective clients or past clients are posting or are commenting on posts on social media, and a lot of times clients aren't always thinking about their own privacy the way that we do, because they're not always thinking of the possibilities, how it could end up being a problem for them in the future when they're posting things on social media sites. Excellent. So, and I would say you want a marketing expert to know your clients, right? So the fact that you specialize in working with private practice clinicians, and you focus a lot on behavioral health clinicians, means that you understand that clientele. So that's going to save a lot of time of trying to explain the business, explain what the clients are like, what the clients are looking for, what the clients are attracted to, what the client's fears are, what's going to bring the client to a purchase, and so forth. Yeah, so that's great. So say on your website, I see you have a blog page. Are there things that maybe people could look out for on your site and your resources where they can continue to kind of, build their knowledge in terms of marketing and maybe follow you? Would it be your blog page? Would it be your Facebook page?
Absolutely. I would say that the two places where they can gather the most marketing information that will be relevant to their practice is going to be my blog page on my website and my YouTube channel, which is Woz Marketing Livonia.
Oh, okay. All right. There's not a button is there a button on your website that links there?
Nope. Just go to youtube.com/Woz Marketing Livonia.
Okay. Let me see if I could pull that up while we're talking. And yeah, so it's so I just go to YouTube, and then it's going to be Woz.
/Woz Marketing.
Yeah, Woz/Woz Marketing. All right. Yeah. We got it. That looks great. Let me pull it up here for
Hi,
everybody
I'm
to
Lisa
see.
Wozniak, and welcome to our YouTube.
Excellent. Yeah, great. Yeah, you have a lot of videos. Like I guess these are informational videos, so people can learn a lot about marketing from you, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, that's excellent. Everyone loves YouTube. Everyone loves watching a video to learn. A lot of our courses are online self-studies, which is videos. So, like a lot of people that provide continuing ed for behavioral health professionals, they'll go to a website and they'll be expected to just read information and take a post test. I can't stand that personally. It's not the way I learn best. So yeah, our trainings are video. I think video is great. Yep, excellent. Yeah, well, thank you so much. And if anyone, any listener needs some assistance, guidance, you can certainly reach out to Lisa. And Lisa, is there, can someone just reach out for a consultation, or do they have to sign up for a package? How does that work?
Yeah, the best way for folks to get a hold of me is to go to my website, wozmarketing.com, and click on the Contact Us tab. And just go ahead and send me a message there, and I will schedule a free 15-minute consultation with you and find out what's going on with your practice and what the best means of moving forward would be.
Oh, okay. And there's, I guess they could sign up for individual consultation times, or do they have to sign up for like a big package or something?
Nope, don't have to sign up for a big package. We'll just go ahead and schedule a free 15-minute consultation and figure out what your options are, and then you can make the decision on package, what is going to be best for you, whether it's a couple of short sessions or if you need done for you services. It really is dependent on where you're at on your journey.
Perfect. And one last question, though, that my audience would be very interested in is telemental health. Have you worked with clinicians who provide virtual services?
Absolutely.
Have you noticed any differences between that and marketing services when you see clients on site?
The marketing for both in-person and consultation services through telehealth are going to be very, very similar. Because it's your audience lives online, and it's a matter of finding the best strategy to reach them online. What happens after that phone call, is where the differences lie.
Ah, okay. Yep. All right. Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Lisa. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yep. Bye-bye for now.